Like the rest of the world, India had also put a halt on international passenger flights when the first wave of the pandemic struck 2 years ago. Regular international flights were first banned for a week starting March 23, 2020, but it stretched to 2 years. In between, more than 20,000 employees across airlines and ground handling agencies have lost their jobs in the last 2 years. The government had earlier planned to lift the ban on December 15th last year, but another wave poured cold water on it. Now, India has announced to resume scheduled international passenger flights from March 27th. The resumption of such flights now will mean an end to the temporary air bubble arrangements that India negotiated with many countries starting July 2020. India currently has reciprocal air transport bubbles with 37 countries, including the US, Canada, UAE, and the UK. Airlines were allowed to operate only a limited number of flights to these countries, and the tickets were expensive. The government's move to start regular flights will boost international capacity and help soften airfares, which have been soaring due to increased demand and rise in crude oil prices. International routes also mean higher revenue earned per seat. On Tuesday, there were 584 international flights, which is less than 50% of pre COVID capacity. Despite the government allowing domestic airlines to operate at 100% capacity, Indigo had a few planes grounded in its 270 aircraft fleet. Indigo CEO Ronojoy Datta said the government's step will provide an impetus to the sector's recovery. The airline will soon announce its schedule for international destinations. As domestic travel rebounded, airlines were eagerly waiting for unrestricted international travel to restart. Indigo and SpiceJet posted surprise profits in the October to December period after 7 quarters.
Yeah, so I think this is a very positive news for the industry. I think everyone is accepting that. On the airfare side, I would answer it by saying that yes, there is going to be a reduction in the airfare for sure, and primarily this reduction is going to be on the basis of the fact that you have a significant amount of capacity that can be brought back into the international market. The restrictions that the air bubble agreements had posted, those are going to be going out. And net, yes, I understand that the fuel price has gone up, but the sheer amount of capacity that needs to be added. See, airlines have bled a lot. Airlines have had negative cash flows for a long time. So the focus at this point of time would not be really profitability from an airline perspective, but that would just be to increase the cash flows and start getting a significant amount of cash into cashing in the register. So I think the idea, at least for the next 2 to 3 months by airlines, is going to be pump in capacity, lower the fares, get more people flying in, so that you can at least start the cash register ringing, rather than the profitability of the routes. So that is the reason why I feel that that net the fares are going to be lower.
The latest announcement provides a glimmer of hope for the hospitality industry too, which was among the hardest hit during the pandemic. 20 to 30% of hotels and restaurants in India are estimated to have permanently shut down since 2020. Tourism and hospitality sector is a major foreign exchange earner for India. It brought in $30 billion in 2019, but this declined sharply in 2020.
So presently, the domestic is the only business that is happening right now, and this business is, as you know, it's more predominantly happening in the resort and the holiday destinations, and it's not really helping the big cities, second cities, and the corporate the destinations or corporate hotels to say. So what is very critical is that hotels, although they are having demand from domestic travelers, the demand does not really satisfy the revenue requirement of the industry. Operation of scheduled flights is something that we've been requesting the central government MHA for a long time, and we are very happy that this has finally come by. This will really bring in the necessary revenue generation for the industry, which is required to mitigate all the problems that they've been facing for the last 2 years. Uh, Although the pandemic eased, although the relaxation eased, it really did not translate into anything good for the industry, simply because the scheduled flights were not operating. So with now all the scheduled flights of most of the international arrivals will start. We are hoping that we'll come back to the pre-pandemic levels, and this is one of the final signs which could really lift the morale.
India's vibrant medical tourism industry will also get a boost. The industry was expected to reach $9 billion in 2020, but it did not happen due to the pandemic. Large private hospitals get 10 to 15% of their revenues from medical tourism. From nearly 7 lakh in 2019, foreign tourists arriving for medical treatment in India fell 73% to 1.82 lakh in 2019. The industry has recovered to half of its pre-COVID size last year, and this is expected to gather pace. With the last of the restrictions on tourism now being lifted, it will have a multiplier effect on various service-oriented sectors. Open skies will turn the fortunes of aviation industry in the long run, but right now, a sharp rise in the prices of jet fuel due to Russia-Ukraine war may prove to be a dampener for the industry, as it accounts for almost 40% of airlines' operating cost.
If you like this video, share it and subscribe to Business Standard. For more news, views and insights, log on to www.business-standard.com. Do also follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Telegram and LinkedIn.